Welcome to the light at the end of the funnel. This podcast is all about tangible solutions to common online marketing challenges. And it's also about the lighter side of entrepreneurship, the motivation, the innovation, the inspiration, and the growth mindset needed to build a business that stands the test of time and stands the test of the unexpected. I'm your host, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark, and I want to thank you for spending your time with me today. So let's dig in. Hey everyone, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark here, your host of Light at the End of the Funnel podcast. And today we're going to talk about something that I really love talking about. And it's just something that's very, very natural to me without knowing that it's very natural to me. And that's all around influence and how we can be impactful with our influence. And it's a little bit of a different take on what a lot of people understand influence to be. And a lot of people understand influence to be making somebody do something. Some people will go as far as like making people want to do something that they don't really want to. And that's not the type of influence, or making people buy a product or influencing them to purchase something or take some kind of an action. And yes, that is part of a definition of influence, is to make people take action in the marketing sense, take action to buy something, take action to read something or watch something or follow someone or a product or a brand. Yes, I mean, that is the marketing term for influence. And when I talk about influence, I really talk about how do we have an impact with our influence? What is going to have a positive impact when it comes to ourselves, our circles of influence, the people that follow us, the people that work closely with us, people in our family, our colleagues. What's going to have a positive influence on them to take action and move forward in a way that they want to? And so that's a little bit of a different conversation than what people normally have when it comes to influence. And in fact, when I say influence, I've asked people like, what does influence mean to you? Or what does an influencer mean to you? And it's usually something like, well, people talk me into buying something, or influencers are like the Kardashians and everybody just wants to be them. And so they influence that way. And this is where this can be really, really different. And it's a different take on how to be an influencer as well. So the catch is, though, here's the catch, is that you actually have to do some transformative work first to be this type of an influencer. So what is that? It's inner influence. And so it's very, very interesting. It's an interesting take on it. And funny enough, I read a few days ago just an article on the psychology term of differentiation. And so differentiate and how that relates to relationships, not just like, relationship with your spouse or your significant other or your loved ones. It's actually just relationships. And so differentiation happens when you fully understand yourself. First and foremost, you understand what it is that you like, what it is you don't like, the feelings that you have, the feelings that maybe you want to have but aren't experiencing. I mean, it's just really a self-reflection piece. And so you have to understand that piece first in order and be really, really embody who you are. And it takes some time. It's not something that can be done overnight. But it takes some time to really get to know yourself. And because when you can do that, then you can actually differentiate yourself from those that you are in close proximity to, those that you are with every day, those that you work with every day. Is that when you really know yourself and you differentiate your feelings, then when they have feelings that bubble up and sometimes they can overflow, and we're all human, it happens, then you can understand. Then if you start feeling like a similar feeling or frustration from the person where the emotions are bubbling up, then you can actually take a step back and say, oh, actually, that's not mine. That's theirs, but I can also be here while they feel the way they feel. So it's a really positive way of having relationships and having colleagues and working with people, being around people, cohabitating with people. But it's also a really great strength to have, an internal strength for you and to step up and be an influencer and a leader. So what does that look like? And I talk about this a variety of different ways, and I usually will say something when I'm talking about influence with my clients and stuff like you have to learn to take yourself out of the equation so that you can really step and hone into what it is that your your ideal client or your following or your community is feeling and experiencing. So when you do that, then you can speak to them in a way where they're going to understand you and they're going to feel like you relate to them and they're going to feel like you understand them as well and that you can then move them forward in a way that is good for them, is exactly what they want, and if you were in that situation it's what you would want too. So it's just a different way of looking at being an influencer. And so what I tell everybody is like once you can find your center, like who you are and where you are in any given day at any given time, this is how you feel, this is what you think, then it's a really good time to differentiate from those around you who you are leading and influencing. So what is the next step for that? So once people are able to do that, then I tell them like, so if you really want to influence people for impact and a move them forward in a positive way that's best for them, you have to look for the win. So it has to be a win for them and and the win can't be a win for them and not for you. So that's the other piece. So you really want to win for them, but it cannot take away anything from you. So that's the other reason why you need to understand yourself and you need to differentiate yourself because then you can understand, is this a win for me? Is this a win for them? And so when we're online and if we're coaching, consulting, working with not just clients but other brands, we're doing summits, we're doing podcast interviews, then we need to add in another layer, and that's a win for all those others who are involved in some way. So, for example, if I was to have a guest on my podcast and we were chatting and we were trying to decide if it was a good fit, then as an influencer and as a leader, I would actually take myself out of the equation first and ask some questions, ask some very open-ended questions so that the person who could potentially be on the podcast has room to chat and to explain. And I would ask these questions in a way where I could see if it was going to be a win for them. And then if I saw that it was like, wow, this would be so great for you, absolutely would be a great interview for you, and I can see that, then I would actually have to step back and check in with myself. Is this going to be a win for me? Right? Is this going to be a win for me as a host? Is this person really good at speaking? Do they have a really great formula? And then that's how I would look at it. Is this going to actually help me promote my podcast out there more? That's the other thing. Do they have a following? Is this a really good co-webinar piece or a co-collaboration where we're both bringing in um, our following for a bigger win? So that's what I would look at as well. And then I would look for the triple win. So I love it when I have a triple win. A double win is good. So a win-win is good. A triple win is the best. So the triple win would be the person that I would potentially interview, myself, and then our combined audiences for the triple win. So if I can look at that and I can say, wow, both of our audiences would gain so much value from us working together, that's when I know that this is a really, really good collaboration and this is going to be influence for impact. So it's that kind of a process whenever we're looking to influence for impact. And I know I'm giving you kind of some stories and some scenarios, but you can take this scenario of the win-win and the triple win, and you can place that in any different scenario where you're being called forward as an influencer or as a leader. So when you're taking on clients, you get to look at it as either a win-win or a triple win, or a triple win if you're going to be helping them to serve a certain niche. So is that going to be a huge win for them? Is the direction that you can take them going to be a win for everybody involved? So that's a scenario too. If you have a software or an app and you're creating it with a customer in mind, then the triple win can be in what are the things that happen if this particular product gets developed and gets put out there more, right? So you have to look at who it's going to affect in that ripple effect too. And so we do, of course, need to make it a win for us. So for taking on clients or for working with people, we have to make sure that we have enough of a groundedness and embodiment of who we are and a differentiation that we can fully understand where all the wins are and how we want to help people move forward. So that's how we can influence with impact. And so when you guys can influence with impact, positive change happens. Things tend to move faster. There tends to be a bigger ripple effect. So I love teaching about this form of influence. I think this is one of the things that a lot of people are doing and they don't realize they're doing it. And I think it's one of the things that is so needed out there in our leadership. So I hope that gives you guys a little bit of clarity around how impactful influencing can be, how positive influence can be, and how to approach it in a way where it's not just put out there with an intention of positivity, but it's also received as a positive influence as well. So until next time, I'm your host, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And don't forget to give us some love on iTunes and on Spotify and some of our other platforms. Bye for now. Hey, thanks for listening to Light at the End of the Funnel. And help a marketer out. We always can use some love. Share, like, and subscribe. That is the best thing that you can do for any podcast. So if you like what we're giving you guys at Light at the End of the Funnel, please go ahead and share that out, and don't forget to subscribe. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.